The Realty Rant is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Opinions are those of the speakers. No person, company, or entity is being singled out or accused. Hosts and affiliates are not responsible for actions based on this content.
Well, here we are, the final episode. You know, we've whined and complained a lot the last couple of episodes. Today, we're going to talk about some sensible solutions, what's going right with realtors, and how we can keep this positive momentum going in the Tampa Bay area and Orlando and Florida. Once again, my guest, former president of Florida Realtors, Mike McGraw. Let's go.
This is the Realty Rant with Vincent Arcuri. No fluff, no sugarcoating, no holding back. After decades in real estate, Vincent has seen it all. Tune in as he cuts through the noise to share the trends, tactics, and truths you won't hear anywhere else. The show starts now.
Off we go. We've spent some time here hammering everybody, and today's the day. Let's put some Band-Aids on. I want to start by saying that although I've complained and whined about a lot of things that have happened in the past, effective today, I'm willing to move forward. And everything that we've talked about on these previous 2 episodes, I'm going to put behind me. And I'm going to forgive and forget everybody. And I'm going to start looking at some of the things that have happened that are positive. I feel like David Bennett at our 5-star, I'm still going to call it 5-star. You'll know that I'm completely satisfied, David, when I start saying star. But 5-star, I'm going to give David kudos. I feel like he's got a handle on some of these things that are going on. And he is really streamlining it. And I feel like our board is finally going in the right direction. Although we seem to be lacking the Tampa people that are in our organization. And I think, you had discussed with me earlier before we were rolling that you feel like that's more of a cultural thing. There's a giant pond in between the 2 boards. But tell me what, because I felt like that really made a lot of sense.
So my perspective, I live in Orlando. Tampa and St. Pete, Pinellas are very different cultures. And then you guys got this bay between you with multiple bridges and totally different cultures and issues. And when it's all said and done, when this merger to Star, Vince's 5-star, but Star, this is now an association.
I affectionately refer to it as 5-star.
I know you do. But it's now 27,000 members. And if the only quality people being put up for election are going to be people from the Pinellas side of your membership, then the Hillsborough side of your membership, y'all need to go to work. Y'all need to step up. You need to put quality candidates up, and you need to campaign, and you need to vote for them. Because and I don't know what your bylaws are, but it sounds to me like your bylaws don't have specific seats, that there's going to be, 3 seats for Tampa, 3 seats for Pinellas. Doesn't sound like that's the case. So if that is the case, then if you're in Hillsborough County and you're a member of Star, get off your seat. Go find some good candidates. If you're a good candidate, run. Get in there and vote. Ask questions. That is your job right there. And that's the solution to the bay between these 2 counties being unified. Because there's no reason why. Because you guys do. In my opinion, you have one of the better AEs in this country. He's a good guy. I've never had a problem with David Bennett. Is he perfect? No. He's a good guy, though. And I think he's an honest guy. And if you just get involved as the membership, I think you'll find that you've got a good leader that will take you guys to the next level. And you guys can truly become one of the top tier local associations in the country, not in the state, the country. But you got to have a good board to govern and let him go manage.
Right. I felt like Tampa was a great board before the merger, but I'm going to go on record as saying this again, that I was against the merger, but we did merge. And a lot of people that are like me that feel the same way that I felt, listen, like I said in the beginning of this, we've got to put that in the past, because you know what? We are one board now, and we have to make this board the absolute best that it could be. Let's clean up the mess and start elevating our people here. And like Mike said, I agree, we need to have some of these Tampa people that are involved. And I think some of the people that, when a lot of people are in these paid positions, and we get very fond of them, but they're not, a lot of them are not realtors. Right. And they're not actively listing and selling real estate. And those people that maybe, if they are, and they were terminated, the Tampa people need to get behind them and push them back on the board if they felt like those people were really, and I know them personally, and a lot of them, they're good people, and I hate to see anybody lose their job. But again, like you said in one of the earlier segments, is that you can't have any friends in this business. And David certainly couldn't have any friends in this business. And with the pressure coming from not just me, but other people that are speaking out against this duplication of services. Like I said, I was really surprised. I give them credit for, I didn't think anybody was going to step up and create this void there. Well, not a void. You've basically increased net profit for the board of $1 million a year in salaries that were unnecessary. He recognized it. I'm sure it wasn't easy for him to terminate that many people. It's probably one of the most difficult things that they have to do running these organizations, is when there's a merger like this, a lot of heads are going to roll. So that's a good start. I mean, I feel very encouraged for the first time, like I said, in about 10 years is the first time I've really felt super encouraged about what's happening. And even though I was against it, I do feel like, hey, we're all going in the right direction. I see you whipping out your calculator there, getting ready to say something. So he wasn't on his phone. He was calculating. So
if indeed this reduction in staff, because you had duplications of services, saved $1 million a year, you have to look at it this way. That's $38 per member. Break it down to per member. 27,000 members divided by $1 million savings saves $38 a year. And you think, well, that's not a lot of money. But let's say that is, and I don't know your local dues, but let's say that's 20% of your local dues, or it's 15%, whatever the number is. It's not a little number. It's not 1% of your local dues. So that $1 million, that's a big number, but when you break it down to $38, that's a little number. But when you look at it at a percentage of your local dues that every single member of Star has to pay, that's a big number.
Right.
That's a big savings right there.
And you're just looking at one thing that they did. That was just that. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to go back to the whole theme of this entire series, which is transparency. Can you imagine? And I'm looking at $1 million in savings that just happened. I'm no financial whiz, no expert with money by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm pretty sure that if ever the books were opened up and everything were transparent to the members, it'd easily be another $1 million in savings from spending like these vacations that we were talking about, or business trips, alleged vacations. And really cutting back. And even if they still go on those trips, instead of it being like, hey, it's not, because when it's not coming out of your personal finances, it's easy to take it out of somebody else's, especially when there's a lot of money. And this merger between the two boards certainly created a windfall of cash for the Pinella side, and now our Star. And so I really think that that's the whole theme of this. If we could open up these books a little bit more, and we're going to talk about that after the break, but I'm going to take a quick break right now, and we're going to wrap up this whole thing. Mike, I'm going to let you wrap the whole thing up on everything that should be done, because I feel like the state of Florida was run like a well-oiled machine when you were president. And I know that you certainly could give some good tips to these local associations on how to streamline and make it better for not only us, but for the people in leadership themselves. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching Realty Rant. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. This episode brought to you by the law offices of Edward Brennan, the kind of legal counsel you hope you never need, but you're glad you have. And now, back to the show. Well, we're back, and I'm here with former president. I call him President McGraw, but he was the president of the Florida Realtors. And, we've yacked and complained, and now we're going to get to some solutions and continue these solutions. And Mike, having run the entire state, and, I feel like you were the best president that we ever had. For the record, I feel like Ellie Lambert was the best president we ever had in the Tampa Association of Realtors. And I guarantee you that she spent less money when Ellie Lambert was president of the Board of Realtors than any president in history by almost 100%. I flat out could guarantee that. So, watching other people's money is something that everybody should be conscious of. And she virtually, when she was president, spent virtually zero on that credit card. And I'd stack that up against anybody that's come before or after. But Mike, I'm going to give the floor to you.
So let's start with credit cards. And let's talk about these trade missions, conventions, and all that stuff. Let's be real honest with each other. When you go to these conventions, the hotels typically are near the convention center, and there's a lot of, because they have to cater to the high-end brands, the Four Seasons, the Marriotts, the Hiltons, the JWs. A lot of them are near these convention properties. That's good. That's fine. But here's the problem. If you go stay there while you're at a convention, okay, did you pay $1,000 a night? Or did you get a convention rate of $325 a night? You know how to solve that problem? Transparency. Put the credit cards out there. And at that point, I don't think anyone cares that you stayed at the JW or the Four Seasons or the 5-star whatever, because it's been disclosed. And then the member finds out that, oh, they stayed at this high-end Hyatt, Sheraton, whatever, that normally has a rate of $500, $800, $1,000 a night, but for the convention it was much less. Now all of a sudden it's easier to swallow that. And then put the credit cards out there when you find out that the liquor tab for 4 people and the food, if it was $2,500, that might be too much.
Well, Mike, and just a point that I want to interject here. Don't lose your thought process here, but if you don't eat caviar in your everyday life and you're not drinking Dom Perignon and eating steak and lobster on the regular in your regular life, don't do it on the members' money either. So there's McDonald's nearby as well, and there's room service as well, and there's lower caliber restaurants. You don't have to go to the top of the line on everything and drink top shelf everything if that's not part of what you do every day. It's easily, to me, an abuse of power if they can't show that they do that in their personal life. Go ahead.
And it is my personal opinion, I feel the same way. If you don't order room service on your personal trips, you probably shouldn't order room service every night on your convention trip that the members is paying for. So just act like it's your own credit card. That's all. Because I have heard things, and I don't know if it's true, but if half of what I have heard has been put on association credit cards, the members would be disturbed. They'd be disturbed because you're blowing the members' money. That's all there is to it. The next thing to look at is these 990s. If you're an AE, your CFO, put the 990s out there on time. Why is that hard? It's not that hard. Just put the 990s out on time. And if members want to come in and see the books, let them see it. I mean, I hear boards that, oh, you can't see nothing and oh, well, we have to let you in, but you can't bring your phone. You can't touch it. We will put them out in front of you, but you can't take pictures. You can't take nothing with you. Okay, if you're going to play that game, it goes back to what we talked about with the cell phone. If I don't let my wife see my cell phone, she's questioning my integrity.
Obviously.
That's why I have no problem sharing my password with my wife. We have the same password for both phones. I believe these associations be the same way. Because what do they sell, Vince? They don't sell a widget that's competitive other than the next association. So we're captive. Yes, there's Thompson Brokers. That's a whole nother conversation for a different day. But if you want to practice real estate in the state of Florida, you want the MLS, you almost have to be a realtor at a local association. And now if you go in and question that money, and there again, you take 27,000 members times, whatever your local dues is, I don't have a clue what they are. That's millions of dollars. I'll say that slower. That's millions of dollars. Millions.
Right.
Be transparent with your members' money. And this isn't CEO Incorporated. I'm not even going to put no one's name on there.
Right.
It's not local CEO incorporated. It's not state CFO incorporated. It's Nakia Wright, the current CEO of NAR, National Association of Realtors. I like this lady. I'm going to tell you why I like her. She came into a very tough situation after the lawsuit and the settlement, and we have all this money we have to pay out. And I watched her on an interview one time, and she got interviewed, and at the end, the last question to her was, so, Madam CEO, if you could have any other job at the National Association of Realtors other than CEO, what would it be? She never missed a beat. She said, that's easy, CFO. CFO, I know where your money's at. If I know where your money's at, I know what your priorities are. If you have skeletons, I know where your skeletons are. And I've always been told, if I want to see Vince Arcuri's priorities, I need to look at two things: your checkbook and your calendar. Your time and your money. How do you prioritize them? And these volunteers and these local boards are no different. Show us your finances and show us your calendars, and we'll know what your priority is. Is it Dubai? Is it Saudi Arabia? Or is it Brazil? We need to be in Brazil.
Right.
Or is it Great Britain? We need to be at Fun and Sun and Fun, whatever the big trade show is there. Or is it Canada? We have to be, if you want to go to an incredible trade show where people come from Canada to Florida, go to the trade show that Canada puts on in Toronto every year. It's incredible. You will get business. Maybe not the first year, but you'll get business out of that. So those make sense to me. Show me your calendar, show me your checkbook, be transparent. And I personally believe that will start changing our culture, and we'll get rid of some of the retaliation, and we will be a better organized industry because, the average consumer doesn't give a crap about realtors. Now, there's people that love Mike McGraw that buy and sell with me. There's people that use Vince Arcuri. But there's other people that don't know Mike, don't know Vince. And if we just say we're a realtor, whatever. Well, they don't care. It's reputation.
Right. That brings me to, we've thrown a basically a melting pot of information here together, and we've put it all in. And I want to kind of put it into a one little funnel here at the end on why do we care about this so much? And the reason why we care about it and people like Mike care about it so much is our industry is changing probably more rapidly than at any time in history. I posted a video yesterday with the old MLS book from 1991 that I had from my office, which came out every 2 weeks, and the agents had to come into the office and comb through it to get properties they were going to show, which may or may not have even been sold. The majority of agents had no cell phones. Everything was landlines. There was no email. There was no Google. There was no internet at all. Everything was basically print-based and handed. And you look at 35 years, how rapidly this industry has changed. All of our associations, local, state, and national, need to be focused on the future of our industry because honestly, it's in jeopardy. We're in danger of being replaced. And all of the attention of our leaders need to be not on partying and having fun and how they can go on another vacation and how they're spending the money and retaliating against members. All of their energy should be how can they embetter our industry and continue to make real estate agents and brokers relevant in the future.
I've been in this business 29 years. You've been in 35 years. We both saw the books. We've watched we used to go and have to, hand our offers to the other agent. We would fax them. Now we're into where, it's all seamless because of technology, but all that's in jeopardy right now. And is it safe to say that the consumer has access to as much data on every piece of property as we do? I think they do.
They do.
What they don't know is how to decipher it. They don't truly understand it. So the consumer still wants us. They're just not happy paying us. And to me, that's what these realtor associations should be focusing on, is better training the agents, better training the consumer that we are the professional, raise the bar when it comes to FREC, raise the bar for licensure. This is a whole nother podcast we can do, but make the standards higher for licensure so that when when you hire an attorney or you walk into a doctor's office or an accountant's office, you have a level of expectation that where their professionalism is and their education. We need to raise that bar in this industry, I believe. And we can do it, but you have to start somewhere. And I believe we start with these associations. And there again, what's their number one job? Advocacy. Advocate at city council, county commission, Tallahassee, Washington, D.C. for property rights and home ownership, but also for professionalism within our industry. We can do that. That's why we care. That's why you and I give a hoot about what's going on. And we're going to continue to give a hoot, and we're going to continue to be outspoken. And I don't care if I don't get another position. I just don't.
Well,
will I ask for one or two? I will, but I don't care if I don't get them, because my voice is louder outside of that boardroom than it is in the boardroom. And I'm okay with that.
Well, I'm pretty sure I would never be considered for a position at our board, but I'm okay with that too, because I just like sitting out in the peanut gallery here and kind of observing everything. But I'm going to say we're going to wrap this up right now, but I want to thank you for being a guest on this series. And I certainly am keeping the door open for any other issues. My direct phone number, everybody knows where I'm at. I'm easy to find. Direct message me wherever you're watching this podcast. And if there's anything that you feel like we need to know about, or we're certainly going to be quick to bring it to everybody's attention, because if you haven't known by now, we're all about transparency, and that's what this show is about. So transparency is the reason why the show was born and why we're going to continue. So if you're a subscriber, if you like what we're putting out, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And thanks for watching Realty Rant. Next week, we'll be back to our regular format.
That's it for this episode of the Realty Rant with your host, Vincent Arcuri. Thanks for listening. Subscribe now and follow on all social platforms so you never miss the real insights. And we'll see you next time on the Realty Rant.